Hey everyone, this is my new channel. It's called Metatron is Speaking. My name is Jennifer. I channel Metatron. Most of the messages will be from Metatron on this channel. I do channel other guides and entities at different times, but again, this is mostly from Metatron. Today, I have a message that was really specifically for our Facebook group that we have. And it's really specifically for blueprinters, beings who originally incarnated on the blueprinter planet. So I started receiving a vision today in the middle of talking to somebody from the Facebook group, and once that came through, I knew I had to start channeling. So I have all my notes here. I'm going to be going through them with you. It's a really beautiful, powerful message, and I think you're going to enjoy it. So I literally started off talking to Metatron, and the way he was speaking really started bringing back like kind of like biblical vibes. So you'll notice it by how he's speaking to me. So he says, "In the beginning was God, and God was light, and God was love. And he wanted to make more love." And then Metatron says, "He made me first." I thought that was interesting because so many people reference from the Bible Jesus and God kind of being the only things, the only entities, the only living things by themselves for a period of time. So he is referencing that. He made me first. And God talked about his plans with me, and he told me what he wanted to make, and I wrote it all down. And that, of course, is very consistent with Metatron, right? Because he's the great bookkeeper. He keeps track of the Akashic records. Everything that's ever happened, he has written down. So this is referencing that. And then he says, "That is why some call me the Word." And that's, again, a biblical reference. If, in the Bible it says, "In the beginning was God, and God was with the Word, and the Word was God." I believe that's what it says. But he's referencing being called the Word, so I thought that was interesting. And then he says, the first planet he, meaning God, made was Ghana. And he's showing me it, and I can see it's the blueprinter planet. And that was a really big deal to me when he said that, because I've been asking everybody who can communicate with, Metatron. I've had them ask for me. I've asked a million times trying to get the name of this blueprinter planet, and I've always been shut down. And so they finally told me what the name was, and so I actually got really emotional when they told me that. And I could feel how much God loved this first planet. He loved it. I felt it. And so then I was asking, what does Ghana mean? Because I figured it meant something. And Metatron said, love of light. And I asked him if that was the original blueprinter language, and he said yes. And then he says, after he made Ghana, he made the souls in waves. He made my brothers and sisters who would later become archangels when Earth was made. So there's nothing in existence. There's God. God has made the soul that inhabits Metatron. And he's made this planet, and then now he's starting to go through waves of making souls for the planet. And so he's talking about the souls who will later become the archangels that were made as part of that first wave. And I asked him, were there other angels already made at this time? And he says, yes, but they would never incarnate. Those angels are helpers to God, not capable of darkness, and not given free will. Ghana is the first time free will was given. So I asked him, who else was made at the time of the archangels? And he says, no one. We were the first. The next wave of souls are the ones who would later become gods, goddesses, and planets. So if you think of, gods and goddesses, if you think of Egyptian gods or Roman gods or Greek gods, so any of those gods and goddesses, they were blueprinters. They started off on the blueprinter planet before they were gods and goddesses and planets. The third wave, he tells me, was you, meaning me, and Susan, and all the other blueprinters. So everyone who were saying, hey, you incarnated first on this blueprinter planet, I'm sidetracking on this, but it's such a huge deal because we're part of his first creation. We're in the same category as archangels and gods and goddesses and planets. Like that's an intense, beautiful group of people to be included with. So, but let me go ahead and continue with what was said next. Sorry, I lost my place. So he says, and the other blueprinters, we call you blueprinters because you are God's blueprint for all creation. The first with free will, the first with gifts, the first with the capacity for both darkness and light. You are blueprinters because you are meant to take your blueprint of light to all other planets that are created, and you have. When a planet is first created, you incarnate there. When that planet is at a critical juncture, you are all incarnated there, spreading your light, easing the transition. You are God's divine workers. You are angels with free will that can experience all aspects of living. Some were built as healers. Some were built to defend the light. Some were built for God's divine wisdom. But you all came to earth as one family, as one unit, for the purposes of God, to further the will of God. The will of God is love, more love for every soul, more love of self, more love of all. Infinite, intense love. You have all come to be love, to give love, and if you so choose, to fight for love as humanity steps out of the darkness and into more light. There are a few in the group, in the Facebook group, who did not originally incarnate on the blueprinter planet. God sees you. While it wasn't your original planet, you spent subsequent lives there, and your love was so strong for God's plans and God's creations that your very soul was changed by it. Your very soul holds the markings of a blueprinter, and it brings God immense joy that you have chosen this path of your own free will. God has gifted you the same talents, the same abilities, the same protections, the same benefits as any blueprinter. And at this point, I hear God jump in, and with a very, he doesn't always have this energy, but a very strong, powerful God kind of energy. And he says, anything you ask of me for this journey, I will give you. No expense will be spared for these children of mine. So, and when he said no expense, I heard no love also will be spared for these children of mine. And then Metatron continues. Now you know who you are, who you've always been, lifetime after lifetime, You are so loved. You are so adored, each of you. And then he goes on to say, this message is an activation. It will activate more memories and more abilities that have been unavailable to you to access until now. Some will start having visions. Some will dream of their past lives. Some will hear the voice of their guides louder now. Each one of you, yeah, that is right. Each one of you will experience something different. This is not meant to be subtle. This is opening a door to the rest of yourself, which is rightfully yours. All guides, all angels, all planets have a vested interest in the outcome of the battle Earth has entered. Our battle will not be easy, but the battle will be victorious. Love wins. And then in true Metatron fashion, he says, hope to see you there. So that was the end of the message. I absolutely had to take this message down and process it and deal with my emotions in the moment and then give it back to you guys, because in the moment I had to stop and like bawl a couple times because the energy was just crazy intense, and it's just a really awesome message. So I hope you find this message as interesting as I do. I can't wait to see what gifts and what stories we all have as a result of hearing this. There's lots more messages that Metatron has for all of us, and I have those kind of on backlog, so they're going to keep coming out. So keep an eye out for those. I'll talk to you guys next time.